What is good, Fit Family? It's your girl, Natalie, the Keto Bikini Pro, back with another episode of The Comeback. And this is a really big episode. I got some stuff to share with y'all. But first, if you have not yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you will always be informed when I drop another video. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's been a little while since I've done an update on this prep and how it's going and what's going on with me. And that is for a reason. So a few weeks ago, Bronson and I, a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks, Bronson and I flew out to Salt Lake City for Keto Salt Lake. And that was an incredible weekend. I'm working on a whole recap video for you just about that experience. So I won't go into too much detail here, but I will say maybe about a week before that, we both kind of started struggling with our cuts. If you haven't been following Bronson's cut, you can check out his channel. I'll drop the link below. He's been cutting, gosh, probably since we met back in October. He's not doing a show, but he's just trying to get as leaner than he's ever been before for his birthday, which is at the end of May. So I digress. We both were struggling a little bit with the lower calories, the lower macros, for him in particular, lower protein, because he's working with Robert Savage and doing a lower protein approach than what he typically does. For me, it was just the lower, I really don't even think it was anything physiological yet. Like, I wasn't having physiological hunger. A little bit. I was starting to get a little bit of physiological hunger. I was inside 8 weeks to the show. So at that point, I mean, it's only natural that dropping body fat at any body fat percentage that you're at, when you're in a deficit, when you're in a cut, you're going to get hungry. You should get hungry. It's a sign that your body is doing what it's supposed to do, which means it's not getting enough, essentially, nutrition, really. So it has to let go of the body fat. So it's gonna be uncomfortable. And yes, some of that was starting to happen. But ultimately, I truly believe it was more of a mental thing for me of like, I talked about this a little bit on my last video, the pity party of like, I don't want to eat less, feeling deprived a little bit and stuff like that. So then in Salt Lake, we both had our cheats. I definitely had more than he did. He had like one non-carnivore cheat, and the rest of the time was, for him, was just over consuming, right? We weren't tracking, we weren't weighing, we weren't measuring everything we were eating out there. We just kind of we had the mentality of like, go out there, enjoy yourself. It's a keto event, eat the things. So for me, it looked like, saying, I know there's going to be vendors here. It was sponsored by Keto Chow. I had actually never used Keto Chow regularly before that. I think I'll do a separate video all about Keto Chow because having met Chris and Miriam, who are just so amazing, and learning a lot more about their journey and their product, I may have changed my mind about Keto Chow. I was kind of a hater before. I wouldn't say like it would become like one of my top recommended proteins, but I can see how it can fit into a ketogenic lifestyle for those who could really benefit from it. So I will do a whole separate video about Keto Chow. But I say all that because I knew that there would be opportunities to try things, keto products that I don't usually use, other vendors like Nush or Nush, however you pronounce that, Nush, was there with their keto pancakes. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try the keto products. It's not carnivore, but I'm gonna totally let myself have the keto products. So of course it was like Chalk Zero was in the swag bag. Gosh, I can't remember all the products, but I definitely tried like everything and multiple times. Went back to the vendor hall, got samples, tried a lot of the Keto Chow. Didn't track and weigh my other stuff, so even though I was eating carnivore the rest of the time, I was likely over consuming what I normally do. And then one particular day, when we went to the Redmond salt mine, which you'll see that fun experience on that specific Keto Salt Lake video. But the chef was not keto, and although he made us New York strips, and I definitely had a New York strip, there was a big bowl of freshly fried steak fries, cooked in coconut oil, and then the Redmond's garlic salt. Stuff is so good. So tried one, couldn't stop at one. Definitely had a lot of French fries for the first time in probably 6 months, maybe more. So yeah, that was a big old cheat. And he had made these cobblers. So I had a small bite. I took one of those little plastic spoons, and I did take a small bite of each of the 2 cobblers. There was a peach and an apple. So that was the second day we were out there. And then that was the only day that I had a standard American diet carb kind of stuff. The rest of the time it was really just kind of over consuming really delicious, amazing meats and stuff. But still, I was definitely not like following my macros, hitting my macros. So even though on my last check-in video, I told you it's time for me to step it up, your girl didn't step it up. Your girl kept like 1 foot in, 1 foot out on prep. So we got back from that conference, and I have to say, I kept kind of the 1 foot in, 1 foot out mentality going. It was like, I wasn't fully in. I wasn't really ready to commit 100%. And here I was, 7 weeks out, leaning towards 6 weeks out, and getting ready to spend a week traveling again, visiting family. I am in a hotel right now. So I realized that week that Bahamas was probably not going to happen. It was like, look, we don't have time for this crap. Like, this is what I want to get across with this whole series, is to show like what it really takes to get to stage. It is, and I think that's why, most of you are probably here watching this. Unless you're a personal friend of mine and you just want to watch my journey, which thank you for being here. You're here to learn like what's the difference in an athlete's mentality and an athlete's life that takes them to a place that maybe you haven't been able to do in your own life. And you want to get to that next level, and whatever that next level is for you, maybe it's going from 50% body fat down to 40%, or down to you're at 36% and you want to get down to 26%, and you never want to get under 20% body fat, and you have no dreams or aspirations of getting on stage. For some of you, you do want to get on stage, or you at least want to know what it takes and see like, could I get close to that? Or could I even just look like I could get on stage and maybe not be, not actually put on the teeny weeny bikini, sparkles, and, strut around on a stage with heels. But what I'm here to bring you is not only like my personal journey of coming back from binging and purging and finding a healthy way to, trying to find a healthy way to get back on stage and see if I can get back on stage after recovery and remain recovered, but also to show like what it really takes and how different that is, and what are those little differences that athletes make that the average human being does not make, that you could implement in your life to get the results you've always wanted that you haven't been able to get. So I am being reminded through this journey back to the stage, through my own comeback, what it really freaking takes. And the difference that, look, I had a long time of grace through my recovery in 2021. I really had to give myself a lot of grace. And to be quite honest, I think most eating disorder recovery programs, they drive home that grace so hard, and they drive home that allowance, and you should be able to eat everything. And I'll tell you what, I have real strong opinions about that. And I think that it does a disservice to a lot of people who never end up fully recovering. And honestly, it took me 6 to 8 months of being in that place of too much grace, too much leeway, to where finally I came back to my health, thinking about my health, and that in the name of allowance, I was doing a lot of destructive things to my body. I may not have been binging and purging, but I was putting a lot of junk in my body that had no business in my body, that was not helping me recover mentally or physically. So I guess all that to say that I have some big news about what's happening now, because I did decide to pull out of the Bahamas show. And all of what I just said is just to preface that the rest of this series is really going to be about that digging deep and finding that discipline, because I'm being reminded after these last few weeks of being wishy-washy, for lack of a better word, just getting really real and honest with myself and saying, you know what? I love when I can show up as my best self, 100% fully disciplined, consistent. I'll tell you what, my mind soars, my mental health soars, my energy, my joy, I radiate. I can be my best for others too. I can show up as a better coach. I can show up as a better partner, as a better daughter, as a better friend. So when I'm not stepping fully into my power and I'm kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, wishy-washy, a lot of excuses, a lot of grace that is really not grace. It's excuses, it's laziness, it's comfort. I love to push myself to step out of that comfort zone, to step up, to commit to being disciplined and all that. So I'm going to bring you a lot more of that. And I think that's what you're here for. And I think that's what you like. And that's what you want to hear about, is how can you do that too? So if I'm wrong and you want something else, drop me a comment. If I'm right and you want more of that, like how to push through and find that fighter in you, drop a comment and say, yes, that's what I want. Do more of that. Okay, so that being said, here's my news. Here's my update. After I take a sip. New show. Oh my gosh, my voice just did something really weird. New show. New coach. I can't wait to share that news. Really, really exciting. New show, new coach, new timeline. Here's a little soundbite. Y'all, I was in the MLM world for a while. I did Mary Kay for like 4 or 5 years. In another lifetime. And one of the best things I learned so many great things about accomplishing goals and pushing yourself and all that when I was in Mary Kay. And one of the best sound bites from that time of my life that I could share with you on this, that I hope you will take, is don't move the goal, move the date. Don't change the goal, change the date. So the goal hasn't changed. I still have my sights on stage. I still have my sights on making my comeback and crushing what I did last show, bringing a better package, bringing a better physique, having a better time, having a better mindset. But we just changed the date. So instead of going for WBFF Bahamas, which is now 5 weeks away, we've extended the timeline. And I got a new coach, so he's taking me fully through. It was a 16-week prep because I got him last week, although I really have been off my game this past week because I've been traveling with my family. More to come on that later. But a full, nice 16-week prep, which I love, 4 months. It's like my favorite duration for a prep. And then I'm going to stay on with him for a full 6 months, so 2 more months after the show I'll just tell you from what I've already, my communications with him thus far, from the time I reached out to inquire about joining his team, to every single interaction, getting me, onboarded and getting me my macros and all of that, and just kind of set up and ready to go. This guy's energy is exactly what I need. He is just amazing. Like, we vibe. It is a vibe, a full vibe. So I'm going to drop his info below. But first I want to share like why I made this move. So if you followed from the beginning, you know that when we started prep, Bronson was coaching me. We started out with really maintenance, finding my deficit. And during all that time, he had me doing training that was very different from what I normally do. It was like powerlifting style, strength, pure strength training. It was amazing and really cool and really great for my long-term longevity as a bodybuilder and a strength, a performance athlete, which I've never considered myself. And I look forward to getting back to that after this prep and doing a full off season of that kind of stuff. But we both realized a few weeks in that I really needed to shift my focus back to bodybuilding cut style, things that I'm more used to for training. So I switched back to a program I'd used before, started using that. Of course, I still had his moral support as my partner, and we would still consult about my macros. But what I realized was we both have a lot on our plates with our businesses, with coaching other people, and with our own cuts, because he was going through a cut also, and our own training. And I mean, it was just a lot. And then our relationship is still somewhat new. So we just had 6 months, so it's still very new. So all that considered, it just made a lot more sense for him to not fill that role as my coach. So I'd been he was still there as like a, let's say a macro coach, prep coach, mindset coach, but not doing my training. And then I was just realizing like, this is too easy for me to like do my own thing and hide things. And I was sneaking things here and there. And so I was like, you know what? It's time. When I was ready to become a pro athlete, the year that I worked my ass off for my pro card, I got a coach. I got a professional, objective coach that I did not know personally, who was not a personal friend. I'd worked with personal friends to guide me before. I'd coached myself before, but I knew it was time to have a separate entity, completely separate, not in my household, not even in my state. My coach was out in New York before. Shout out to Keto Shreds, Tony DiCostanzo. I worked with him. He got me my pro card. He got me to my pro debut. And I had also, so I knew, I'm going off on tangents as I always do, but I knew that it was time to get that next level. When I'm trying to go to the next level, I need next level guidance. So I say all that because even coaches need coaches. All the best coaches, all the best athletes have coaches. You don't go into a time of your life where you're trying to make a major change. You're trying to shift your mindset. You're trying to shift your lifestyle. You're trying to adopt new habits. You're trying to get some transformation in your body internally and externally. You have to have professional guidance. You have to have a team. I also had a therapist who I've been out of touch with. So he reached out the other week. It's time for me to go back to therapy. I highly, highly encourage you having a full team of professionals to support you. I have chiropractors, I have massage therapists, I have therapists, psychologists. I now have a coach who I am paying. That was the other thing, I was not paying Bronson. So everything, when you have more skin in the game, when you're paying for professional coaching, for an expert opinion, for somebody who is not a personal friend or family member, it really changes the game. So I knew it was time. Plus, I had never worked with a WBFF coach. And as a prep coach, let me preface that, I do have a posing coach. I will drop her information below as well, Alexa Hesse, Miss Diva Fitness USA. And my girl, she has become my girl. When I first started with the WBFF, I pushed her into coaching. I met her at a WBFF workshop, and I really wanted a local coach, and she was not coaching yet, and so I was her first client, and now she's soaring. She's got her crown, she's got her title, she's got a whole team. She's been doing this for years, and it's amazing. So I'm still with her, rocking with her for posing coaching. I started that back up a couple of weeks ago, which is a whole other level of accountability. So like I said, I have a whole team around me, and that's what I know I need to be successful. So my new coach is Marques Caudle, Team CTN, Calibrated Training and Nutrition. Yes, Calibrated Training and Nutrition. Team CTN, he works with WBFF. He also works with other federations as well, competitors. I'm sure he also has lifestyle clients as well. I've watched him. I've watched Team CTN for years. I always got a really good vibe from him and his athletes. It feels like a family. He's super real, down to earth, not with the BS, not with the drama. And he's from Georgia. So I love it. It's fam. It's gang. My girl is also on the team, my girl Nicole. So she, about a year ago maybe, she shared with me more about how he works and what she liked about working with him. And so I just have to say, I know I made the perfect decision for me. I know that that's a person that I can be fully transparent and honest with about my struggles. I just wrote him a big long email about this last week of being at home, being surrounded by temptation, giving into temptation multiple times, eating off plan, not only over my macros, but not only outside of carnivore and over my macros, but even outside of keto, standard American diet, candy, cookies, Greek Easter bread, which is my number one kryptonite in the world, is when it's Greek Easter. My grandmother sends Greek Easter bread. I just can't resist it. So I fell on my sword literally just now. I drove halfway home yesterday. I'm in a hotel. I'm about to drive another 5 hours home after this. And I didn't have a perfect week. I didn't have nearly close to a perfect week. I had a lot of vacation mentality going on in my head, a lot of, hey, you just started with a new coach. And I'm going to do a whole separate series. What I've realized after these last few weeks of like cheats here and there is how quickly that cheat mentality, that binge mentality, that excuse mentality can come back when you let these food-like substances that are not foods, these poisons, into your body. And so for me, it happened quickly. And so I analyzed a lot of what was going on through that and how I'm coming back now again from another, slip, if you want to call it. So I have a lot of insights on that. And I just read a new book that I'd known about for a long time that I finally read or listened to on my first half of my drive. And I'm just like brimming with thoughts on binge eating and cheating and all of that. So I have a lot to share there. So I'm going to do a whole series on lots of individual binge topics that I think will really, really help you. If you're a binge eater, if you struggle with binge eating and you have specific things you need help with, questions, struggles, drop them in the comments box and I'll put them in that series and address them in detail. So all that to say, I have a do-over. It is now the do-over. I am starting fresh, brand new prep. I'm out of vacation mode. I've had my water with electrolytes today, my coffee with protein powder today. I'm driving home and it is 100% on from this moment forward. Carnivore, keto, riding that out, listening to my coach, being fully transparent and honest with my coach, sending him, this week I'll be sending him daily nutrition logs. And then from there on out, sounds like we're going to be doing multiple weekly check-ins, midweek check-ins. So a lot of accountability, a lot of engagement with him, holding myself accountable, him holding me accountable, doing my posing check-ins with my posing coach. And yeah, we are going to the races. I'll be home for 2 full weeks before Bronson and I head out to the low carb cruise. I'm already thinking ahead to the cruise and all of the strategies and all of the tools I'm going to need to have in my toolbox to make sure that that does not become another vacation mode. So stay tuned, because I'll be sharing how I'm preparing for that, how I'm working through that to make sure that I'm not backpedaling on that trip or future trips, because we also have KetoCon in between now and the show, and I may have some other travel back to see the family again. So this is my line in the sand. No more excuses. I'll be doing a weekly video every single week of this prep. As of yesterday or Saturday, I am 15 weeks out. So 14 more videos after this leading up to the show. I will not be skipping a week. That is how I know, and you know, not only for me, but for yourself, that you're not showing up for yourself, or that I'm not showing up for myself and doing the things I said I was going to do when I'm hiding. So if you find yourself hiding, that's a really good sign that like it's time to stop hiding. Because the hiding is keeping yourself in darkness, keeping yourself in shame, and keeping yourself from moving forward. That hiding will keep you stuck. So I'm no longer hiding. I got my accountability team in place. I have deliverables for them. I will be showing up for them, and I'll be showing up for me. So here we go. Come with me on this journey. Starting over, 15 weeks out. Tomorrow morning, I'm doing my physique check and my posing check-in. So I will be sharing those stats of where I'm kind of starting fresh, starting over. And then each week, you can come with me and see how I'm progressing, but more than anything, how this mindset is progressing. So that's it for now. If I forgot anything, I'll do a separate video because this is getting long. But time to hit the road tripping again, and I will see you next week.